Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We hope you're keeping very, very safe and well. Thank you so much for joining us for our big opposition preview. Of course, the North London derby, Tottenham Hotspur taking on Arsenal at the Emirates. I've got a man that normally when I'm watching him, I'm always agreeing with him. I'm always nodding. And I've got these next 10, 12 minutes to try and not do that. But it's so hard when we've got the wonderful Lee Judges on. Lee, I don't know how many platforms you're doing these days, what you're doing in your life. You're everywhere with regards to Arsenal, Arsenal Fan TV, your own channel. How are you, firstly, mate? Lovely to see you.
Oh, I'm good. Thank you very much, Rick. A little bit nervous. I can't lie. Arsenal Spurs always does it to me. You know what I mean? So, but we're at the Emirates, so I feel a little bit more confident than when I go down to your place.
Oh, the hard thing is, mate, as I've said to you off air, and now I've got to say it on air, that if anyone doesn't obviously capture you as or see you as an Arsenal fan, you are one of the most honest Arsenal fans that I know. You always tell it as it is. Of course, there's always a needle there between Spurs and Arsenal. But I mean, like I say, the game itself, I think when you look back at the last 25 years to now, there's been such a change in dynamics between both clubs, really, in terms of ownership, in terms of expectations and fan bases. And that's why, like I say, whenever the derby comes round, it's really, really intriguing as to how both the teams are going to set up, how they're both going to play out on the day. So I'm really excited, mate, to bring you on for these next 10, 12 minutes to get into it. But just a quick reminder, of course, that we are delighted on Last Word on Spurs to be sponsored by the Beavertown Corner Pin. That is the Beavertown bang opposite your South Stand. Now, we are absolutely delighted to be bringing to you our first live show from the Beavertown Corner Pin for, of course, the North London derby, where we'll be reviewing and bringing you instant reaction to Tottenham Hotspur's result against Arsenal at the Emirates. And there are still tickets available right now if you click out and check out on Beavertown's website for all the latest details. And like I say, you'll catch us there live from 7 p.m. It will either be a therapy session or even be me trying to avoid Lee Judges at some point when he comes next to see me.
I'll pop down there if we win. I'll pop down there. Like.
Lee, you're barred, mate. There's no way we're letting you in the building. God. Right, mate, let's get into it. It's one of those games where I think, as Anthony Costa called it last night, obviously friend of the show, one of our own, Anthony Costa, he called it the dentist game. Never look forward to this one. The kickoff time is horrific. That stadium is horrific. I think it's one win for Tottenham, well, in the Premier League, but generally just it's been a real difficult place for Spurs to get any results. Honestly, Lee, you said you're a little bit nervous. How much anticipation is there for this one coming? What are we now, before and just after the international break?
Look, let's get this right. I hate this game as well. Like, I've never enjoyed it. Like, you know, at the end of the day, because if you lose to Spurs, it's worse. Because obviously I've got friends and family that are Spurs, so you get it. So I get what Anthony's saying there. I you know, people turn around. I don't know like what Spurs fans are like. And they go, I don't believe anybody that says, "Oh, I'm looking forward to the North London derby. I want it done, out of the way, get the win, and then like banter you lot as much as I possibly can." Like, you know, so I think it'd be a real. And listen, it's always listen. I'm going to be honest. I'm on a Spurs channel. I hate Spurs. You know what I mean? But I respect them. I have to say, you know, at the end of the day, if they're doing well and they've got good players, you have to. Arsenal have got to be at their very, very best tomorrow to win, Rick. You know what I mean? It's a game. But I will say this: home advantage. I think I say it all the time. I think it's key. When we're at home, I feel slightly more confident. When I'm away from home, we go to Tottenham. Even when we was at our best, I would take a point. You know, because that's how I feel like, you know. So, beat you at home, draw you away. That's the perfect scenario, really. Well, the perfect scenario is to win both, but realistic scenario, that is the way I see it as an Arsenal fan. But, you know, it's going to be a tough game, tough game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, Lee, Arteta being backed in the summer. I know, again, last season towards the end, there was question marks as to whether he's done enough really to deserve, again, another season at Arsenal. Given the fact I know that obviously it does feel like more of a connected fan base. There's been a massive squad overhaul there really since Arteta's gone in. I think he's obviously playing a decent brand of football that's exciting fans. He has reconnected the fan base. But going into the game, Lee, based on Arsenal's form at the start of the season, give us your thoughts overall maybe on the summer and how they've started the season so far.
Rick, look, we met at the beginning of the season, like, you know, and I just come back from the pre-season tour, and people laughed at me a little bit, if you remember rightly, when I said, look, you know, Arsenal got a very, very good chance. I think Arsenal will challenge. I did say this. Arsenal would challenge for the title, not win it, but be up there, and I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal come second on what I see. Jesus has blown me away. I have to say that. I think he's been sensational. Now, I know that I'm on a Spurs channel, so I said it. I did think that Richarlison was was the sort of player that Arsenal needed. Someone that's got that little bit of nastiness, but and whatever. And I weren't that absolutely like blown away by the Jesus signing. But once I see him playing all that, well, my God, I was wrong. You know what I mean? He's been really, really good. And, trust me, you Spurs fans out there watching this and whatever, like when you see him, you'll go, my God, like, be worried about him. He's a top player. And all of a sudden now, I feel that with Arsenal, we've got somebody not on I don't mean on the same level as a Harry Kane, but someone that will frighten you as much as he does us. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so I think that he'll be really, really good. I think Arsenal will sign 4 players, Rick, and this is where I think that it's a little bit different between Arsenal and Spurs. I think at this moment we've signed 4 players that have improved our team, like Jesus, Zinchenko, and obviously like Saliba at the back. Has been massive for us as well. Like, there's one more that I'm forgetting, and forgive me who it is, like, but we've signed 4 and they've all really improved us as a team, And I think with Spurs, I think that they've bought players at this moment in time that have strengthened the squad, and I think that that has just made the level just it is. There's nothing between the two sides now. I don't care what anybody says.
It was a point last season, wasn't it? That's the reality. As much
as
points. Yeah, cut the points. I mean, that's the reality. When you look at obviously the way last season ended, there was that argument that Arsenal's momentum went after that. Obviously, North London derby and Spurs rose. But again, if we're being honest with you, it was 2 really inconsistent sides that were battling for 4th. We're being honest with you, and Spurs in the end just managed to get some form towards the end of the season. But I think this time around, we've definitely seen a more stronger, resilient Arsenal. And I think you're saying to me, Lee, the argument that this season so far is that Arsenal getting the results where they wasn't last season. And necessarily, I mean, again, that United game, Arsenal fans maybe take actually more confidence that they went there and put in a really good performance. Yes, they didn't get the result, but it does feel there is a different feel about Arsenal. But I just wonder, Lee, what your thoughts are, where the game you feel will be won and lost tomorrow. Where do you see that for you?
I think in midfield, I do. I'm hoping that you go with the 3 up top and play the 2 in midfield. I don't think you will. I think maybe Conte tomorrow will bring in Basuma and make it a 3. I think if you do, we've got the player we can play around like at the moment. If Partey plays, that'd be a big boost for us. But him and Xhaka's playing as well as I've ever seen him play. And Odegaard's a top player. And the other player, just want to mention it was a player I shouldn't forget, was Vieira. But and we've got.
You can forget him if you want, mate. No worries.
No, not after his Brentford goal. I'm sorry there about that. But like that I think gives us a little bit of a. I wouldn't say that we are better or worse in midfield. I think it's not that. I think it's if the system sets up somewhere along the line, we're going to have space in some part of the game. And if you allow it in midfield, I think we could take because one of the good things about Arsenal, I know you won't like this, is that we've been dominating teams this season with our play. And if we can dominate Tottenham with our play, then I think we'll be all right. Like, so, but I will say this: I think that Spurs. I don't care. I said this yesterday. They're drop deep. And look to hit us on the break. And I have to say this, and this is where I get a little bit of slagging off from Arsenal fans and whatever. Like, I am a football fan first and foremost, but Tottenham are probably the best team. Well, definitely the best team in England on the counter attack, and if not in Europe, they are lethal. If you go 3-on-3 with them, they will, or you will, be very, very ruthless, and that's the one thing that you are. I think that Arsenal are not quite. By the way, Jesus has been fantastic, but he does miss a few chances. You give Harry Kane a chance, you give Song a chance, they take them. So that is where our Arsenal got to be wary, and that is where Tottenham are very, very dangerous. And the one thing that always worries about this game, going back to last season as well, our strength is going to be our weakness against you, because if we go forward too much, that's when you are then going to be at your strongest. And I was disappointed with the way Arteta set up last season at Tottenham, because we didn't need to win that game. We just had to go in there and I do think that, we're going back to last season, the difference between the two teams getting to to Champions League or not was not the teams, but the manager. The manager was just that little bit more strict. So I'm hoping that Arteta's learned his lessons and learning as he's going along. Not quite at the level of Conte yet, of course, but he's getting there and learning. So I think that the manager's still key to this game. I think, but I think that midfield, I think, is where it'll be one. Listen, Tottenham and Arsenal now have got very, very exciting front threes. Ours a little bit younger, yours a little bit more mature, shall I say? But at the end of the day, free, you know, Saka and Martinelli on the flanks can cause problems to anybody. Listen, you know, like the more I'm getting it, the more I talk about it, the more less sleep I'm going to get, like, you know. So
no, mate, less than 24 hours to go, thankfully, for both of us. I tell you, I mean, as I've said to you off air, I mean, this game for Tottenham, I think the time of it, 12:30 at the Emirates, it's never a good time. Never a good time. And straight after the international break, and as I said yesterday, you've got to be ready from minute one to go. Those Arsenal fans are going to be ready. That stadium is going to be rocking tomorrow, because after what happened, obviously, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last season, I do think there'll be a real urgency to want to raise that roof early and rattle Spurs. I mean, under Nuno, to be fair, and it's hard because that game now, it feels so out of context with the rest of last season, really, at the start. But Arsenal dominated from minute one, and Spurs just crumbled, really. You know, Nuno, bless him, looked so out of his depth. I mean, you've already answered my next question in terms of the two managers. So maybe final cut of question I'll ask you is, what's your expectations for the season now under Arteta? I mean, from watching you, listening to you before, I think you've always been honest that you want to continue to see that progression in terms of where Arsenal are going to be under Arteta, whether that's top four, whether it's competing for the league. What's your minimum expectation, Lee, for this season under Arteta at Arsenal?
Oh, I think it's got to be top four. That's minimum. You know what I mean? Like I think, and you know, I'm not being deluded when I say if we carry on playing what we are, we'll do better than that. Like, you know, I've sort of what I've seen. I've been very encouraged by. I've been really encouraged by what I've seen at Arsenal this season. If Arsenal ain't doing well, I'll say it. But I've been more than encouraged with it. Like, you know, I think that our squad's not strong enough. So if we are to continue and maintain a push towards trying to challenge Man City and the likes of Spurs and Liverpool and whatever, we've got to improve in January. And I think that's something that we've got to do. But my expectation is to see us challenge. Listen, at the end of the day, people will laugh at that because I think Manchester City will go, you know, further and further away. But at the moment, we're a point in front of them, like, you know. So, like, I think this is to try and keep on their coattails for as long as we possibly can. And if we do that, then we possibly be in the top four. And I think that's the way I'm looking at it. I think that if we carry on playing the brand of football that we're playing at the moment, I think that you're not going to be surprised by it, but you'll go. I'm pretty sure the Spurs fans watching and going, they'll see it tomorrow. Because sometimes you don't watch. I only watch Spurs when I think they're going to lose. I'll be honest, like, you know what I mean. So
you don't watch us every week, then?
I don't watch you every week. No, I don't. You know what I mean. Like, if you like, certainly against Leicester, that's off at 2-2. Like, you know what I mean. See you later, like. But so probably a lot of our Tottenham fans are the same. When you're watching it tomorrow, I think you'll go, they're a bit of a worry. They're a bit of a worry, and that's what I want. I want that tomorrow. When you come away from that ground or the pub that you're in and thinking, bloody hell, that Arsenal, that Lee's right, that Arsenal are the real deal this season. So that's what I want. And that's what we've been craving for many a year, is to be back to where we want. Not saying necessarily winning the titles, because no one's got divine right to that, but up there challenging and competing. And I think this season we will. Final
question, mate. Prediction. I know you probably hate doing these. What do you think the outcome's going to be tomorrow?
Listen, I'm going to go Arsenal are going to win it 3-2. The simple fact is we're at home, and that's the only thing. If we was away there, I'll be predicting a draw, thinking that we're going to be losing. You know what I mean? Like that is what I would think. It's not me being arrogant, not me being disrespectful to Spurs. I just think that we're the home team. Yeah. And I said this, I think Arsenal need to win this more than Spurs. I really do, because I think that we're at home. Yeah. You know, I think if Spurs were to lose to Arsenal tomorrow, you ain't going to like it. But in the context of it, you'll say, we've got a result at Chelsea, we've got a result at West Ham, we've lost to Arsenal. It ain't the end of the world. For us at home, if we was then to lose to Liverpool next week, we're being in a little bit of difficulty where we want to be. So I do think it's very, very important that Arsenal win this game. And I think we will. Come on, you Gunners.
I'd said to you, I'd bite your hand off for a point. I'd run away with a point. I'll be honest with you. Mate, listen, as always, love your honesty. Always love, like I say, watching you, listening to you on all the different platforms you do. Lee, for anyone that doesn't know where you are as an Arsenal fan, I don't know how they don't know where you are these days. You're everywhere, bless you. Where can we find you?
Listen, you're always, all you Spurs fans are all welcome to come over to Lee Judge's TV,
Brilliant.
like, you know, and have a bit of banter over there, like, you know. We don't just do it all Arsenal content. It's a bit of everything, like, you know, and you know, I've done a great show yesterday with Michael Bridge, of course, of Sky, mad Spurs fan. Abby, I've done things with as well, like, you know. So it's not all like, and there is a nice. There's 2 clips on there with Spurs, with Abby and Michael, so check them out if you want to, like, you know. Hopefully you won't want to after tomorrow.
They're big fans of Bridgie. We're all good. Abby's lovely. Lee, thank you as always, mate. Lovely having you on Last Word on Spurs. Happy the first of many. And I don't really want to say enjoy the game, but enjoy the game if I can, mate. Say that to you.
Enjoy it before, and like, you know, whatever, like, you know, like I'm not going to say it like, man, the best team win, because I don't mean that, like, as you know. So as I say to all my mates, and I say to all you Spurs fans, have a lovely Friday and have a fantastic Sunday. But Saturday, I hope it all goes wrong for you.
Thank you so much. The wonderful Lee Judges. Guys, we're back with you tomorrow live from the Beavertown Corner Pin for instant reaction to Spurs taking on Arsenal at the Emirates. As always, please keep safe, keep well, and come on, you Spurs.